It has become the place where we share pieces of our lives, connect with friends, and stay consistently informed. But behind the endless scrolling lies a growing concern: the toll social media is taking on mental health, especially on children and young adults.
There's so much learning from physical social interaction that you learn how to talk, how to communicate, how to read faces, how to pick up energy level of that other person in person than you can get otherwise.
A study conducted in 2022 showed that around 95% of U.S. teens aged 13 to 17 have access to a smartphone. Additionally, nearly half of the teens in the U.S. are constantly using the internet, causing 54% to state that it would be difficult to give up social media.
There's a lot of information about being in person with somebody that you don't get through a computer screen or through a text or whatever it might be. So a lot of that information is lost, and it can have a serious impact on, how we treat other people.
It's creating additional isolation under the guise of connection, right? Because you have this online connection, but it doesn't really fulfill you in the way that real connection in person does, but it sucks up your time.
In the lives of young adults, social media platforms have also enhanced a pre-existing level of worry, the act of comparison.
We know older kids have talked a lot about judging themselves based on the number of likes they have or the amount of followers they have. I do not want elementary school students worrying about that.
Nobody wants to be seen as different, right? Because it's too scary, right? If you're part of a group, if you're part of something, then you feel safer, but nobody wants to be that outlier, right? We all want to shine and look different or be different, but we also don't want to.
I think especially all the different platforms and social medias that we have nowadays, and how chronically kids are online even from a young age, it's kind of detrimental because there's these beauty standards and things that people think that they should be living up to.
Social media has also led to the creation of an open forum where screens can become weapons to say detrimental statements against fellow classmates or even strangers online.
People are more likely to say things that they would never say in real life online. And so I think we have this culture of more bullies than ever before because people feel safe and anonymous online to say stuff, whereas in real life, maybe you would only have a handful of people who would be the bully.
It's very easy to text something, and that's why it's so easy to be bullied and all the other things, because you're hiding behind a screen. You don't have to say those things because you would never say them because they're terrible.
It used to be that you had a conflict with someone or a conflict with a friend, before phones, and you would go home and it would be over for that moment. Yes, you might have to face it the next day at school, but it wasn't this constant barrage of information and then other people getting involved.
The general use of technology can be beneficial for children and young adults, as it can expose them to a world of entertainment and education. However, it can also have its faults.
I think television, I think movies, I think that line of what's appropriate for our age group, elementary age group, has gotten blurry.
Some believe exposure to violent content can influence children's behavior, fostering aggression and desensitization to real-world consequences.
Violent video games can be very detrimental to students' mental health. I think the more you're shooting and killing and doing all these things, just the less upsetting it is. It almost becomes normal.
I think constant exposure to violence and guns and blood and gore can't really be that beneficial for especially younger kids. I think maybe the way they interact with others can be more violent or aggressive, or what they say could be more aggressive because of chronically playing violent video games.
Others argue that the impact of violent content on children's actions is overstated, emphasizing the role other factors contribute.
Young people engaging in violent behavior is not likely just because they played a violent video game, and quite likely because they're experiencing much more serious things in their life.
We could look at it as the opposite and sort of an outlet for anger or something like that. If someone is frustrated, to play a video game and to sort of get that frustration out. I'm not sure if it increases violence, though.
I think that every single person is influenced by what they see. So I think on the most basic level, whether it's kids using bad language or, saying something that they don't even understand what it means because they saw it on YouTube, heard it in a video game, whatever it may be, Yes. Do I think that playing a violent video game makes you a violent person? I do not.
In fact, the rather violent side of social media has repeatedly been uncovered, proving that it can exist as a method of communication to spread school threats to the public, making it extremely easy to instill fear, yet difficult for law enforcement officials to track.
There's no law enforcement agency that can police social media, just because it's so vast that it would take hundreds of thousands of law enforcement agents just to go through that every day.
Despite the fact that the digital landscape is vast and gaining control over content produced and released is nearly impossible, there have been local and state efforts to work towards a solution. In the state of Connecticut, a phone ban policy has been issued, creating stricter guidelines on students' access to phones within school hours.
I think we have to get smart devices out of our schools. I think we have just ample data on the fact that they are detrimental to the well-being of our young people.
Yet others feel that this should go a step further, supporting policies that extend past school regulations.
In town right now, I know actively is wait till 8th, which is like delaying smartphone use until 8th grade, and okay to delay, which is like a newer thing in town, which is more like selective technology, like just not doing social media, but letting them have a phone, like you're kind of picking and choosing.
We actually have a technology agreement with our families that there are no screens during the week. It's only on the weekends, and those are monitored, and each student and each parent signs off on that. That's how strongly we feel about that. Bullying can be incredibly hurtful. Kids will not want to come to school if they don't feel safe, and our main job is to keep kids safe.
While the internet was once created as a place to connect, it has ironically never caused such disconnection, and it seems that our mental health and well-being, especially that of the younger generations, has often become the price that is paid.
The internet is a far more dangerous place than we like to imagine it is. So I think we have some education to do with the community, and I think we have to bring in students, educators, certainly parents, to find what the right balance will be, but I think we could feel certain that we haven't struck the right balance now.
Reporting from Fairfield, Connecticut, Danielle Grillo.